There are 30 megacraters around the world, indicating impacts that would, if they occurred today, surely doom civilization. That just does not make sense in the context of a world claimed to be designed by a perfect creator. So this leads right into the other big argument against theism, and that is evil. The presence of evil in the world, long before modern science, has troubled people who have attempted to think about theology deeply. For a long, long time, people thought that lightning, people in many cultures, not just the Judeo-Christian tradition, thought that lightning was an expression of God's anger, that God was singling out sinners for punishment with lightning strikes. And then in the mid-1700s, Benjamin Franklin conducted his famous experiment with a kite and string and a key. He was not actually holding the kite string. This is relatively accurate, otherwise he probably would have died. But he determined that lightning is nothing more than common electricity in very sudden and powerful bolts. Well, as a practical genius, Franklin promptly invented the lightning rod. And many places in Boston, where he was living at the time, immediately adopted it. But many churches resisted, and it was outright banned in Germany for 30 years. And in those 30 years in Germany, some 400 churches were struck by lightning. 120 church personnel died in those lightning strikes, and at least one of them was a priest. Even today, churches are often struck by lightning. Their architecture makes them particularly vulnerable. So churches that reject Franklin's scientific approach to lightning do so at their peril. But human evils as well are often explained in the Christian tradition by saying, well, God made Adam and Eve. He told them what he wanted them to do. They didn't do it. Boom. They're suffering the consequences, and so are we. And for some reason that makes sense to people. Does that make sense? If you're talking about a supreme being, first of all, why would a supreme being make creatures with free will and make them defective? I mean, I don't know about all of you, but I have a lot of trouble with temptation. And evidently so did Adam and Eve. I'm made that way. We're all made that way. We can actually explain these things through evolutionary psychology now, but let's go back to the frame of reference. Just philosophically, why would a supreme being set his own creatures up for failure? He had to know. He's all-knowing. This just doesn't make sense. But even if you can rationalize that away, okay, he told them what to do, they screwed up because they're defective. What would an all-powerful, all-knowing, and all-good God do? He'd do just what any responsible manufacturer would do. He'd recall them, fix them, and put them back in place. The story as it's told just doesn't make sense. It's just that we learn it at such an early age, and we become accustomed to it, and we think, oh yeah, that's the way it worked. But if you think it through, it simply does not make sense.